Welcome back to the deep dive, where we don't just, scan the headlines. We take that whole stack of source material, the articles, the quotes, the pictures, and we really try to dissect the architecture of a cultural moment.
We're here to give you the most thorough, nuanced understanding that we possibly can to get you way past all the surface chatter.
And today, we've got a wonderfully rich set of sources. They're very specific, but they act as this, perfect case study for modern celebrity life.
They really do. We're looking at the mechanics of high-profile co-parenting, the construction of these temporary fantasy worlds, and that profound contrast between the identity of superstar projects to the world.
And the one that's required at home.
Exactly.
That's right. Our subject is the 6th birthday celebration for Aeko Brown, who is, of course, the son of Chris Brown and Ammika Harris. On the surface, it's a huge Pokemon-themed party.
But our mission here, as always, is much deeper.
Yeah, we want to analyze the theatrical scale of it. I mean, why go so big? We want to get into the logistics of building these, quote, private worlds that are also sort of for public consumption.
And critically, we are trying to understand how a global figure like Chris Brown, who is always performing, navigates that essential anchoring role of just being dad.
The sources are perfect for this. They give us this incredible, almost forensic detail on the lavish logistics of the Pokemon party, which happened over the weekend of Aiko's birthday on November 20th.
But they also bring in Chris Brown's previous reflections on fatherhood, which are really candid. We're looking for the truth in that tension between, say, a giant Charizard guardian at the door and a quiet statement of family love.
Okay, so let's unpack the setting first, because the sources are so specific about the sheer ambition of this whole environment. Aeko Brown turns 6 on November 20th.
And 6 years old is such a fascinating age.
It really is. It's when a child's identity and their interests become so specific, so deeply felt. It's not just about bright colors anymore.
No, it's about Pokemon. And probably it's about one specific Pokemon.
Right.
6 is a developmental watershed. They're moving away from that sort of generalized fantasy of being a little kid, and they're investing deeply in specific franchises, specific stories.
So the celebration has to shift, too. It can't just be a generic fun day. It has to be this deliberate validation of the child's passions.
Absolutely. If Aeko is obsessed with Pokemon, the party has to honor that obsession completely. And that requires, maximum commitment from the parents.
And commitment is definitely the word for it here. They didn't just buy a themed balloon arch from a party store.
Not at all.
The sources highlight this incredibly immersive entrance that immediately redefined the space. So guests walk through a bright red Pokemon gate.
And that red gate is crucial. It is the narrative threshold. In event planning, we call that narrative architecture.
Narrative architecture. I like that.
It's designed to create a state change, It separates the outside world with all its distractions, its public knowledge of Chris Brown, the performer, from this enclosed, controlled fantasy world inside. It's a very deliberate psychological transition.
It sets the expectation right away. You are leaving your world and you are entering his world.
Exactly.
But the theatrical element goes even further. The source mentions a giant Poké Ball, which is cool, but then it hits us with the real defining detail. A life-size Charizard posted at the front like a real-world guardian.
Okay, that is the moment the event crosses over into, high-concept experiential marketing.
Right, a life-size Charizard.
I mean, Charizard is not just any Pokemon. It's one of the originals. It's one of the most powerful, visually aggressive creatures. It's a literal dragon.
So positioning it as a real-world guardian turns that entrance into something from a movie or a video game. It's implying that an adventure lies inside.
The commitment to that specific IP integration, it just shows a phenomenal effort in planning.
But doesn't that level of spectacle actually work against the idea of creating a protected family moment? I mean, if the owl, which we're going to talk about later, is for Chris Brown to be seen simply as their dad, doesn't a life-size Charizard, a prop that must have cost tens of thousands of dollars?
Oh, easily.
Doesn't that draw more attention to the performer and make it harder to just be dad?
Well, that's the core paradox we have to analyze, right? The Charizard, while it's super thrilling for Aeko, it also functions publicly as this expenditure symbol. It signals the celebrity status that makes this possible.
Right.
However, the internal logic for the family is that the spectacle is for the child. It's the ultimate expression of love and validation for him. They're creating a zone so perfectly themed that for Aeko, the focus is all on the fantasy.
Not on the cost or the fame of his parents.
Exactly. The Charizard might draw outside attention, but for the 6-year-old, it's just Charizard. The spectacle is sort of the cost of entry into a distraction-free zone for the family.
I see that. So the extravagance kind of buys them immunity from the mundane. It lets the child's fantasy just completely take over, at least internally.
And once they passed that Charizard Guardian, the area was officially dubbed Aeko World.
Aeko World. That's brilliant branding, isn't it?
It's perfect. It makes the whole event proprietary, and it centers the child's identity. The sources describe a colorful space strategically decorated with balloons, games, and critically dedicated photo stations.
The layout reveals that dual purpose immediately. The games and balloons, that's for authentic play. That's for eco.
Right.
But those dedicated photo stations, they are not an accident. They are strategic tools for brand management.
Exactly. We have to assume the audience understands what a photo station is for. The sociological insight is why they are built into the design from the start.
Okay, so why?
For a family under such intense public scrutiny, putting in these high-quality, perfectly themed documentation tools ensures that when the event eventually goes public on social media, the visuals they share are controlled, professional, and they're perfectly aligned with the narrative they want to project.
So it's a shift from a private event that might get photographed to an event that is designed for public visual consumption.
You've got it. The goal isn't just to have a party. The goal is to successfully archive the party in the most visually appealing way possible.
It has to function perfectly as both a playground and a high-definition movie set.
And that strategic design is an absolute necessity in the modern celebrity landscape. The space inside Aeko World is a sanctuary, but its visual blueprint, its aesthetic success, is an unavoidable public asset.
So they're building this immersive environment where the child can feel completely lost in the fun, while at the same time they're curating the visual legacy of that fun for the world.
That's the game.
Okay, so as we move deeper into the details of Aeko World, the activities really confirm that balance, between genuine fun and these carefully constructed visuals.
Yeah, our source lists the specific things Aeko is enjoying, and it's a brilliant study in what you could call controlled chaos.
We're looking for those moments of pure, unscripted childhood joy right next to the pre-planned, photo-ready moments.
And that mixture really defines these high-end kids' parties.
So the high-energy fun sounds amazing. He was driving mini electric cars with friends.
Yeah.
And jumping inside a white inflatable house. That's just pure, kinetic, unrestricted physical release. Kids love speed, bouncing, all of that.
Those activities are the necessary release valve. They generate the authentic smiles, the real movement that you need for the documentation. But let's just zoom in on the aesthetic choice of the white inflatable house.
That's a great question.
Why white when the party is otherwise just exploding with Pokémon color?
You're right. If the theme is Charizard, you'd expect, I don't know, a fiery red or orange bouncy house.
The white is a deliberate aesthetic constraint. While the play inside is messy and chaotic, the structure itself maintains this clean, modern, almost chic visual canvas.
And it would contrast beautifully with the primary colors of the Pokémon branding.
Exactly. And, more importantly, with the visual element that was designed purely for framing, the oversized neon letters.
Ah, yes. The sources say that Aeko was posing beside oversized neon letters that lit up the room. The cars are for running, but the neon letters are for posing.
Precisely. The cars in the bouncy house create the emotion. The neon letters create the frame. They are the immediate, static, high-impact photo opportunity.
So you've got this juxtaposition kinetic fun versus a posed aesthetic. It illustrates that dual mandate.
It really does. The organizers are catering to the child's pure desire for fun, but at the same time, they're ensuring that the adults have these photogenic, stylish moments that are perfect for sharing online. The neon letters basically scream event for the online audience.
It's the visual signifier of luxury event design. It tells you this was professionally staged, and it lets the parents capture the energy of the day without, the visual clutter of low-quality snapshots.
The aesthetics serve the narrative of the celebration. We're seeing a new form of brand management here. In these environments, the child's pure joy becomes the most valuable visual asset.
And the setting and activities are all designed to maximize the capture of that asset. It ensures the public takeaway is one of seamless, fun, and successful co-parenting.
And the entire spectacle, no matter how big, it traditionally orbits around one moment and one physical object.
The birthday cake. Our source calls it a masterpiece.
It wasn't just a dessert. It was a crowning piece of temporary sculpture. The sources describe it as a towering creation, flawlessly sticking to the Pokemon theme.
We know it was topped with Charizard, decorated with Poké Balls and stars. It had to visually anchor the whole room, fulfilling the fantasy that started at the gate.
The towering height is proportional to the overall spectacle. But the analysis shouldn't just stop at its decoration. The description of the tradition around the cake reveals this necessary pivot back to grounded reality.
Right. It says the event culminated with family and guests circling around Aeko as Ammika helped him slice the cake.
And that's the communal moment. It's the pause and the action. The most traditional, least performative image you can imagine.
The spectacle just kind of melts away for a minute, and you're left with the simple ritual of a parent helping their child mark the milestone.
It's the moment of maximum shared vulnerability and tradition. It completely transcends the celebrity context. It proves that despite the Charizard Guardians and the immersive branded Aeko World, there are these fundamental, relatable family rituals that anchor the whole event.
That act, Ammika helping Aeko slice the cake, that's the humanizing core of the entire description.
And once the experience is complete, there's one final step.
The public archival. Ammika Harris posted the confirmation and the documentation.
That's the necessary conclusion. The source quotes her post where she shared photos and wrote, "November 20th, my baby is 6 now." It serves as the public stamp, the official curated visual record that successfully exports the key aesthetic takeaways from the private world they created.
It takes Aeko World and finalizes it for the wider public, ending that documentation phase of a highly managed event.
Yep.
Okay, now let's use the descriptive details of the party as a narrative bridge to the deeper family context. To really understand why you would build a world this elaborate, we need to understand the history of this co-parenting unit and Chris Brown's personal identity as a father.
And our sources confirm that Chris Brown and Ammika Harris celebrated together, which establishes a cohesive front.
That joint celebration is so significant, especially in the celebrity world where co-parenting dynamics can be very public and very complex.
It is. Their shared focus and mutual involvement in such a high-effort event, it clearly communicates unified support for Aeko. The child's experience is prioritized above any personal history or, external drama.
So let's pull back 4 years to Aeko's arrival in 2019. Our source details the initial public announcement from Chris Brown, and it's a fascinating contrast to the 6th birthday spectacle.
The initial announcement was a study in minimalism. For an artist of his magnitude, who often uses this maximalist expressive style, he just shared a simple black and white photo.
And the caption was just 11/20/2019.
That's it. No long statement, no detailed explanation, just the date. It was stark, factual, and deeply private in its presentation.
That simplicity is so striking. If the birth announcement was quiet, focused, almost stark, a private moment, then the 6th birthday is the absolute inverse. A massive outward-facing spectacle designed specifically for public sharing.
That gap reveals a clear evolution in their comfort level and their strategy regarding Aeko's public presence.
It really does.
The contrast suggests that initially the focus was protection and privacy, keeping the announcement factual and bare. By the 6th birthday, the strategy has shifted to presentation and integration.
They are no longer just confirming his existence. They're celebrating his identity. And they're using that public interest to showcase a successful, joyful family dynamic.
The birth was announced with reserve. The birthday is celebrated with narrative force.
It says so much about the celebrity parents' relationship with visibility. Maybe they realized that complete privacy is impossible, so they chose to control the narrative by creating and sharing such an aesthetically powerful event.
Exactly. If you can't hide the life, you have to curate the narrative of that life.
And within that narrative, there's a really powerful personal observation Chris Brown made about Aeko's features that grounds this relationship far beyond any spectacle or PR.
The sources mention he shared a baby photo comparison, right?
Yeah, and the direct quote was, "He just stole my whole face." That's a powerful, intimate observation of resemblance.
That phrase is beautiful because it's so immediate and visceral. It emphasizes their identical features, a clear moment of paternal recognition, of genetic confirmation.
In a life that's characterized by abstraction, fame, touring, public image, seeing his literal physical self reflected in his son offers this concrete, undeniable form of legacy.
It completely bypasses the abstract concept of fame. Fame is intangible, it's transient, it depends on public opinion.
But Akiko's face is a biological fact. It's a moment of profound anchoring. It grounds him in shared genetics, providing this permanent bond that the stage, the awards, the social media likes, they can never replicate.
This physical mirroring is so crucial for understanding the depth of pride he attaches to the role. When you're a public figure, your image is monetized, scrutinized, often distorted.
But looking at your child and seeing your own features, undistorted, innocent, is a reminder of personal origin, of identity. It affirms the role of father that is completely separate from the performer.
This detail provides a vital emotional depth to our whole deep dive. It's a universal father-son moment that exists regardless of his celebrity status.
And this relationship with Aeko exists within a broader paternal system. We have to contextualize Aeko within Chris Brown's established experience as a father.
Right, the sources remind us he's a father of three. He shares Aeko, royalty, and his youngest daughter, Lovely Symphony.
And that context changes the analysis significantly. We're not discussing a new father or just one isolated relationship. We're discussing a man who is navigating multiple ongoing co-parenting relationships with children of different ages.
Absolutely. This means his experience as dad is comprehensive and diversified. He is managing the responsibilities and joys of fatherhood across different developmental stages.
From a young child like Lovely Symphony to a school-age child like Aeko to his oldest daughter, Royalty, who's navigating her own distinct phase.
This means his reflections on fatherhood, which we're about to get into, they aren't based on a single, honeymoon phase relationship. They are informed by years of managing scheduling, co-parenting, logistics, and the emotional needs of three different personalities.
It's an experienced role. It's a structured system of responsibility that dictates his time and his emotional energy, which makes his positive reflection on the role even more meaningful.
And it raises the stakes for creating Aeko World. This elaborate event isn't just about celebrating one child. It's about setting a benchmark for parental commitment within a complex family structure. It confirms that no matter the number of kids or co-parenting dynamics, the dedication to creating joy is absolute.
So we've established the spectacle of the party and the complexity of the family unit. Now we get to the intellectual and emotional core of our analysis, the meaning Chris Brown derives from fatherhood.
And this is based on his past reflections, specifically from an interview with Big Boy's Neighborhood.
We're moving from the visual proof of the spectacle to the inner substance of the relationship.
And this transition is where the deep dive really pays off. The spectacle of the Charizard and the neon letters, that's the public cost of the relationship. These quotes reveal the private reward.
We're focusing on how the title Dad acts as this profound grounding mechanism against the chaos of global fame.
He starts by analyzing the reciprocal dynamic of parenting. He notes the joy of watching them grow and learn. The quote is, "It's fun. It's funny to see them grow, see different things they learn."
That's the classic parental observation. But the crucial addition, the one that elevates this from a cliche to a genuine insight, comes right after.
He says, "They teach you."
That is the statement of humility we need to zoom in on. For someone in his position, a global icon, a performer, someone whose professional life is defined by giving instructions, taking control, being the center of attention.
For him to realize that his children are his teachers is a complete inversion of his professional power dynamic.
It implies a forced shedding of the professional ego. When his children teach him, whether it's patience or how to play a new game or just a fresh perspective, he is forced into the role of the humble student.
Which is invaluable, because in the fame ecosystem, there are very few people, if any, who can successfully tell a superstar that they're wrong or that they need to learn something new. His kids provide that essential, non-negotiable feedback loop.
It's an enforced reality check. The children don't care about his sales figures. They care about his immediate presence and reaction. They teach him patience when they're stubborn, and they teach him joy through their boundless enthusiasm. This growth he's describing isn't just theirs, it's his.
And this sense of pure mutual learning feeds right into his overall sentiment about the role, which he summarizes as, "I'm loving it, I'm having a blast."
That quote, "I'm having a blast," is incredibly powerful. It contrasts so sharply with the immense pressures of his career. The touring, the recording, the constant scrutiny, the weight of a massive public brand.
The word blast suggests that fatherhood provides a genuine source of uncomplicated, non-transactional fulfillment. His celebrity is transactional. It depends on selling records, selling tickets, managing public opinion.
But fatherhood offers an emotional return that is entirely independent of his professional output.
It's a stabilizing force and a source of relaxation. It's a necessary emotional counterweight to the intensity of being a global brand.
Which brings us to the critical analytical point, the fundamental reason fatherhood is so vital to him. the dual identity paradox.
This is the core insight our source provides into the mechanism of celebrity parenthood. The key statement is that when he is with his kids, they see him simply as their dad, not the performer the world knows.
Let's spend some time unpacking this separation. The performer identity is massive. It's constantly external, loud, demanding. It involves choreography, makeup, press schedules, maintaining an image.
But the moment he crosses the threshold into his personal life, that entire edifice is functionally irrelevant.
Because children act as the ultimate mechanism for grounding. Their relationship to their father is based purely on need and proximity.
They are inherently indifferent to external status, professional accomplishments, or public controversy. For them, he is the fixed point in their world. The provider, the comforter, the rule setter. They only recognize that immediate, tangible connection.
Just think about the two worlds. In one world, millions of people are screaming his name and his actions are constantly judged by a public lens.
And in the other world, a 6-year-old child is asking him to play Pokémon or tie his shoe.
The noise of the first world just does not penetrate the second.
It's the highest form of unearned intimacy. The role of dad is the single role in his life where his audience demands nothing of the performer. They only require the parent. This separation is what affords him the mental and emotional escape he needs to sustain such a high-pressure career.
It provides the crucial off switch that fame usually denies.
Where else in his life does he receive that kind of non-performative feedback? Everywhere else he is judged or paid or analyzed based on his output.
Only with his children is he loved for his being, not for his doing.
This is why the fatherhood role is called a grounding effect. It anchors him to baseline humanity. He cannot perform his way out of a 6-year-old's tantrum or fake his way through a late-night story.
The children force an authenticity that his professional life rarely permits. They ignore the global brand and respond only to the human relationship. They effectively dissolve the performer identity inside Aeko World.
Therefore, the lavishness of the Pokemon party, with the life-size Charizard and the narrative architecture, it takes on a second layer of meaning.
It's not just spoiling the child, it's creating a perfect protective sanctuary, a world so complete that the outside pressures of the performer identity cannot intrude.
The spectacle is the shell of the sanctuary. It's the physical manifestation of the need to protect and define the private sphere, ensuring that in that specific time and space, the world revolves only around Aeko and Chris is only his father.
The ability to separate the global icon from the simple dad is his greatest luxury, and it's purchased not with money, but with the years of dedication and vulnerability required by the role.
The sources, by giving us the spectacular visual detail and then the profound philosophical insight, they show us the full circumference of modern celebrity parenthood.
It's an endless tightrope walk between the public presentation of perfection and the private yearning for simplicity.
And the challenge is that the moment the private sanctuary is successful, they feel compelled to document and share it, allowing the outside world a controlled glimpse.
So the sanctuary is built to keep the world out, but its success as a loving environment is simultaneously shared with the world, which just perpetuates the cycle of documentation and scrutiny.
It's the necessary inherent tension of maintaining two vastly different, yet equally demanding identities at the same time. He cherishes the role of dad because it's the only place the performer is irrelevant.
So we began our deep dive walking through a massive, bright red Pokémon gate, guarded by a life-size Charizard, the height of choreographed spectacle. We end it with the powerful, simple truth expressed by Chris Brown. The greatest reward is being seen simply as their dad.
Our comprehensive analysis reveals that the high-effort, visually perfect presentation of Aeko World is not just about celebration. It's about controlling the narrative and creating a temporary, perfect environment that validates the child's identity.
But the greatest insight is the stability this role provides for the parent, serving as a non-transactional anchor against the turbulence and demands of global fame.
By combining the logistical details of the Charizard-themed party with the personal reflections on fatherhood, our sources give us a profound look into the celebrity's balancing act.
The lavish presentation confirms the commitment to the child's world, while the internal reflection confirms the value he places on the children as his only audience who truly don't care about his fame. They are his ultimate reality.
Which brings us back to that tension. We've thoroughly explored the creation of this immersive environment and the desire for privacy as dad. We've seen the extraordinary effort put into defining and protecting that private sphere.
And yet the blueprint of that sanctuary, the photos, the details, the quotes, were immediately shared and documented publicly.
So we'll leave you with this provocative thought, something to consider as you reflect on the source material. Given the details about the dual identity paradox, where the role of dad is the private sanctuary, what does the necessary and immediate public documentation of elaborate, beautiful private worlds like Aeko World ultimately reveal about the challenge of balancing genuine personal identity and the constant modern requirement for public visibility?
Is the sanctuary built for the child, or is it also built as a required statement to the world?
Something to ponder as you navigate the complexities of your own life and the narratives you choose to share. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.
We'll catch you next time for more profound insights from the stacks.